Welcome to this explainer, where we're going to completely demystify the 18-stage Victoria planning permit process. Look, if you're looking to build a new home, maybe an extension or even a commercial development, you already know that navigating local council requirements can feel like an incredibly dry, highly complex bureaucratic maze. But today, we are injecting some much-needed clarity into that chaos. We're going to transform that maze into a clear, manageable, step-by-step journey, so you know exactly what to expect. Let's get right into it.
Okay, let's start with the most critical question. Do you actually need a planning permit? Stage 1 of this whole process is your initial site assessment. This is where you check your specific planning zones and overlays, things like heritage or bushfire constraints. The goal here is super simple. We want to determine if you can bypass this entire 18-stage headache and go straight to a building permit, or if you need to buckle in for the full ride. To make this process highly intuitive, we've broken the roadmap down into 6 distinct milestones. 1. Laying the groundwork. 2. Preparing the application. 3. Council review and notice. 4. The council decision. 5. Securing the building permit. And finally, 6. How long will it take?
Section 1. Laying the groundwork. Stages 1 through 3.
So, assuming your Stage 1 assessment confirmed that you do in fact need a permit, we move right into Stages 2 and 3. These early steps are all about gathering hard data. You'll bring in a licensed land surveyor to map out existing features, ground levels, boundary dimensions, the whole shebang. And armed with that survey, your designer or architect can tackle Stage 3, drafting your preliminary floor plans, elevations, and really exploring the initial functionality of your space.
It's actually fascinating to see the delicate balance required here. If you have significant existing trees on or even just adjacent to your site, you're going to need a qualified arborist. They step in to assess the tree's health, identify the tree protection zone, and map out structural root zones. Why? Because your designer literally needs to weave your preferred room sizes, driveways, and outdoor areas around that significant vegetation without destroying it.
Section 2. Preparing the application. Stages 4 through 8. Once the ink is dry on your concept design and you're happy with the layout, a town planner steps in for Stage 4. They'll review your concept against local policies, neighborhood character, res code, you name it. Then, during Stage 5, you secure any required specialist reports. Moving to Stage 6, your final drawings are prepared. This includes all those necessary shadow diagrams and site analysis files. Finally, in Stages 7 and 8, the town planner writes a comprehensive report justifying your design, and you formally submit the entire package, along with the council fee, because, bureaucracy never works for free.
Now, to mitigate risks and avoid annoying delays back in Stage 5, you really have to anticipate localized requirements. For instance, if you're building near a busy road, you will absolutely need an acoustic report to prove your development can handle the noise. Or if you're in a bushfire management overlay, a bushfire assessment is mandatory. Ensuring your application covers all these localized requirements right up front, that saves a massive amount of back and forth later on.
This lodgement stage is absolutely crucial because the town planner's written report acts as your ultimate defense. It strongly justifies your design choices against strict res code standards and planning policies long before the council even begins looking at it. Once you hand over the application form, the drawings, the title, and of course that fee, the council officially acknowledges receipt and assigns a designated planning officer to your case.
Section 3. Council review and notice. Stages 9 through 13.
Okay, expectation management is absolutely key here. In Stage 9, the council checks if anything is missing. If it is, they'll issue a request for further information, or RFI, in Stage 10. Then, in Stages 11 and 12, your proposal goes public, which can definitely lead to objections from neighbors over things like privacy or overshadowing. I really want to stress this. Receiving an RFI or getting neighbor objections are totally normal parts of this journey. They are not disasters. It just moves the process into Stage 13, where the council formally assesses those concerns.
So, the magic number in Stage 11 is 14. 14 days. This is the strict, legally mandated time frame where the council advertises your proposal. This usually happens via letters mailed directly to adjoining property owners, or maybe a large yellow notice displayed right on your site. For those exact 14 days, the window is wide open for the community to support, request changes, or lodge objections to your build.
Section 4. The Council Decision. Stage 14. After meticulously reviewing all the public submissions, specialist reports, and planning schemes, we arrive at the pivotal moment. If there were objections from the public, but the council still believes your design has merit, they won't just grant a permit immediately. Instead,
They issue a Notice of Decision to Grant a Permit, commonly called an NOD. Conversely, if your design fundamentally fails to meet planning policies, they'll issue a refusal. And a refusal forces you to either significantly amend the proposal and resubmit it, or take your case straight to the appeals tribunal.
Now, this phase is governed by very strict legal timelines. If you get that notice of decision, objectors generally have exactly 28 days to lodge a formal appeal with VCAT. That's the Victorian Civil and Administrative Tribunal. Your actual planning permit is kept on ice during this window. But if day 29 rolls around and no appeal has been lodged, congratulations, your permit is officially issued.
Section 5. Securing the building permit. Stages 15 through 18.
Keep in mind, a planning permit almost always comes with strings attached. In Stage 15, you'll first need to satisfy specific permit conditions. That might mean providing a finalized landscape plan or detailing an external materials schedule. Once you tick those boxes, Stage 16 allows the council to endorse your drawings. Those endorsed drawings then form the rock-solid foundation for Stage 17, where you get your structural engineering, soil reports, and energy ratings done, which all culminates in Stage 18, getting the final building permit.
I can't overstate this. Stage 16 is paramount in this whole sequence. Once the council stamps those final drawings, they become the endorsed plans. These are legally locked in. They absolutely must be used by your registered building surveyor to authorize construction. If your structural engineer or your builder tries to deviate from these endorsed plans just to save a few bucks, well, it can completely derail your building permit. Don't risk it.
Section 6. How long will it take? Typical timeframes.
We've covered the what and the how, and now for the burning question every single property investor and homeowner has: how long does this whole 18-stage process actually take? Looking at these typical durations, you'll notice how tasks like concept design and council assessment take up the largest chunks of time. And look at the variance here. A request for further information can add anywhere from 2 to 8 weeks, and the council assessment itself takes 4 to 12 weeks. These numbers heavily depend on the complexity of your site, the notoriously unpredictable workload of the council, and honestly, how thoroughly you prepared your application back in the early stages.
Sure, complex heritage builds, massive multi-dwelling developments, all those stressful VCAT appeals can easily stretch this process way past a year. But this timeline shows the standard journey. For a typical residential project, going from an empty block of land to holding a finalized building permit generally takes about 3 to 8 months. That is the realistic window you should be budgeting for. Armed with a clear map of all 18 stages, a solid understanding of when to bring in the experts, and realistic timeline expectations, you are now perfectly positioned to tackle this bureaucracy head-on. The maze has a path, and you know exactly where it leads. So the only question left is, will you let the red tape intimidate you, or are you ready to finally break ground on your dream build?